fire at will. Zulu was not just a grand historical war spectacle. It was a brutal endurance test disguised as a heroic epic. Heat storms, exhaustion, and unpredictable terrain pushed cast and crew to the breaking point. Equipment jammed under scorching African suns. Extras collapsed in dust thick enough to choke the lenses. And the production kept rolling. Today we uncovered 20 weird facts about Zulu secrets buried beneath rifle shields and raw cinematic courage. Fact number 20. The crew faces extreme heat that warps equipment. Zulu presents vast open plains, but the real battle is the heat. Temperatures rise so violently that metal tripods burn hands. Film magazines swell. Sweat floods through uniforms, turning simple movement into exhaustion. It is not glamour. It is survival. What audiences never see is the constant struggle to keep cameras alive. Lenses fog, gear warps, electrified cables stiffen beneath dust like ancient vines. Cast members hide under scraps of canvas for shade that barely exists. Scenes take twice as long because focus rings lock in the sun. Yet the footage looks effortless. That contrast between beauty and brutality defines the production. Zulu is not a reenactment. It is a trial by fire that imprints itself in every frame. Fact number 19. Michael Caine is cast against expectation and it changes everything. Michael Caine becomes a legend through Zulu, but it nearly never happens. He auditions and is dismissed for looking too posh, too refined, nothing like a soldier. Not grit, but elegance. Yet that same elegance becomes his advantage. The producers eventually see something sharper beneath the surface. A brittle pride, a brittle confidence. Suddenly he is transformed from unknown actor to defining presence. Caine studies military posture until his spine aches. He adjusts speech rhythm to match aristocratic tension. On set, he feels isolated. Crew members see him as an outsider among rugged performers. That friction becomes character fuel. His performance shifts the film from brute combat story to class conflict drama. Viewers sense the internal struggle. That contrast becomes history. Fact number 18. The Zulu warriors are real regiments, not random extras. The warriors in the film are not anonymous background figures. Many come from real Zulu regiments trained in ceremonial formations passed down through generations. Their movements are precise. Their chants echo centuries. This is not improvisation. It is living culture. The production negotiates respectfully to include authentic war dances and shield patterns. What audiences do not know is how deeply this affects the shoot. Filming halts whenever rituals require preparation time. Crew members witness choreography that feels like thunder rolling across Earth. The warriors move as a single organism. Scenes gain a gravity no stunt team could duplicate. Their presence changes the atmosphere on set. It shifts from performance to heritage. Zulu becomes more than a battle film. It becomes testimony. Fact number 17. Stunts are lightning fast and dangerously real. Zulu is filled with practical stunts that offer no safety nets. Spears are real. Shields are real. Dust blinds eyes. Actors fall from barricades built with rough timber that splinters on impact. Timing is everything. One false move and injuries erupt. Some performers leave the set bruised and breathless after each sequence. Extras rush through tight formations where inches matter. The camera operators must stand dangerously close to charging bodies just to capture the intensity. The chaos is choreographed yet unpredictable. It is not CGI spectacle. It is raw physical commitment. The audience sees rhythm power and precision. What they do not see is the silent count each stunt performer keeps in mind, praying that coordination holds. Zulu demands courage, and it demands endurance. Fact number 16. The sound of battle is built from real weapons and real pain. The film's unforgettable soundscape is not constructed in comfort. Producers record live rifles pounding through open air. Echoes slam into rock faces and recoil into microphones. The noise rattles ribs. Crew members flinch. Some experience ringing ears for days. Musicians experiment with layered percussion to mimic fear itself. Not chaos, but structure. The goal is immersion. What audiences do not realize is that many grunts and cries come from real strain, not staged performance. Actors push their voices until throats burn. Recording sessions become endurance marathons. The result is stunning. The battle sounds alive, full of breath and terror. It elevates Zulu into an experience rather than a reenactment. The sound becomes memory, not just noise. Fact number 15. The infamous rainstorm nearly destroys the production. Zulu looks sun-baked and bone-dry on screen, but nature has its own script. A violent rainstorm strikes during a key week of filming, and everything unravels. Tents collapse under pounding water. Rifle props sink into mud. Electrical cables drown in rising puddles. Cast members scramble to salvage uniforms already stained beyond repair. It is not a light shower, it is a full assault. The storm erases footprints and flattens set pieces so carefully arranged. Scenes planned for daylight must be rewritten overnight. Crew members work through darkness trying to rescue equipment that refuses to stop shorting out. When shooting resumes, the ground is soft as sponge. Yet the final film shows none of this turmoil. Zulu hides chaos beneath its precision. Now, fact number 14. Stanley Baker pushes himself until exhaustion becomes performance. Stanley Baker brings authority to every frame, but behind the scenes he fights a quieter battle. The heat drains him. Long takes grind him down. Dialogue scenes require intense stillness, while sweat pours into his eyes. But Baker refuses to break. Not discipline, but endurance. He decides that exhaustion will strengthen his character. His breathing grows harsher. His posture stiffens from strain. What audiences do not know is that some of his most iconic moments are not acting at all. They are survival. Crew members worry as he pushes himself past comfort, yet Baker believes the story demands authenticity. His fatigue becomes the backbone of Lieutenant Chard. It becomes textured reality rather than staged heroism. Zulu captures that truth in every lingering close-up. Fact number 13. A technical failure creates one of the film's most striking shots. Not every cinematic moment in Zulu is intentional. One sequence emerges from pure accident. A camera jammed during a complex battle setup, and the film briefly overexposes. Light bursts across the frame like a white flame. At first, it seems ruined. The dailies reveal a strange beauty, a ghostly haze that mirrors shock and terror. Instead of discarding it, the director reworks the blocking to recreate the effect intentionally. Not flaw, but inspiration. The crew modifies lens settings and repositions reflectors to shape the burn into an artistic weapon. The final shot pulses with raw energy. What could have been failure becomes signature imagery. It is a reminder that cinema sometimes grows from chaos. Zulu embraces mistakes and turns them into myth. Fact number 12. The location is more remote than most war films ever attempt. Filming Zulu requires reaching terrain that tests every supply line. Roads are rough trails carved through open veldt. Trucks break down daily. Water must be hauled across miles. Food spoils in relentless heat. This is not studio wilderness. It is isolation. Cast members describe the eerie silence of nights interrupted only by distant wildlife. The remoteness affects production rhythm. Call sheets shift constantly as weather and terrain dictate the day. When equipment fails, replacements take days to arrive. The isolation forces the team to improvise repairs using scrap wood and stripped metal. Yet this hardship shapes the film's tone. The landscape feels vast, ancient, indifferent. It becomes character, not backdrop. The struggle endured by the crew feeds into the story of endurance portrayed on screen. Fact number 11. The Zulu chorus sequence nearly collapses under cultural miscommunication. The powerful chant that echoes through the final act is one of the most memorable elements of Zulu, yet few know how fragile its creation truly is. Early rehearsals falter when cultural expectations diverge. The British crew expects synchronized marching rhythm, while the Zulu performers expect spiritual cadence rooted in heritage. Tension rises quickly. Not conflict, but misunderstanding. Meetings unfold under shade tents as translators work to bridge intention with tradition. Eventually, both sides align. The chant is performed not as military beat, but as ancestral resonance. When the cameras roll, it feels monumental. The sound surges like a living wave across the battlefield. What audiences feel as cinematic power is actually real unity, achieved through patience, respect, and collaboration. Fact number 10. The mid-roll chaos that forces a complete shooting rewrite. Halfway through production, disaster strikes. A coordinated battle sequence collapses when heat, wind, and timing combine into perfect sabotage. Extras miss cues, rifles misfire, dust blinds the camera crew. Hours of preparation evaporate in minutes. The director calls an emergency halt. What audiences never imagine is that this moment reshapes the entire film. Instead of repeating the failed master plan, the crew experiments with tighter angles and rawer movement. They embrace improvisation. Actors shift positions by instinct. Stunt performers trust reflex over choreography. The footage becomes more visceral than clean precision ever allowed. At this point, you should go ahead and like and subscribe because behind the scenes, stories only get stranger. The chaos becomes opportunity. Zulu grows sharper through disaster. Fact number 9. The Zulu shields break so often that prop makers work through the night. The iconic cowhide shields look sturdy on screen, but in reality they fail constantly under the film's punishing stunt work. Spears split them, falls snap them, dust dries them until they crack. Prop makers barely keep pace. Their workspace becomes a battlefield repair station. Hides are stretched, soaked, and reinforced again and again. Each morning, the crew inspects stacks of new shields destined to break by afternoon. What audiences do not know is that this cycle affects choreography. Stunt performers adjust strikes to protect the props, yet the shields still fail. The fragility adds tension. Every clash is real risk. The constant rebuilding becomes emblematic of the production itself. Strain meets determination. Zulu is forged through repeated breakage and relentless repair. Fact number 8. A medical emergency forces. A surprising actor to become the hero of the day. During a demanding action setup, one supporting actor collapses from heat stress. The set freezes. Crew members rush to stabilize him and halt filming indefinitely. But an unexpected figure steps forward. A background performer with real field medic experience takes command. He issues instructions with calm certainty. Watershade pulse monitoring. He stabilizes the fallen actor before professional help arrives. What audiences never learn is how this moment shifts morale. Cast and crew see him not as extra, but as guardian. His presence changes energy on set. Later during rehearsal scenes, his confidence influences blocking. People trust him instinctively. Zulu gains a subtle authenticity because real leadership emerges from the margins. The film's theme of ordinary men facing impossible odds becomes reality. Fact number 7. The fire effects are so hot the cast feels the heat from meters away. The burning hospital and barricade scenes use practical flame rigs that roar with terrifying force. Heat rolls across the set like a physical wall. Actors positioned several meters away still feel skin prickle as temperatures soar. Sweat forms instantly. Crew members crouch behind metal shields to avoid scorching. These stunts demand perfect timing. Fire crews stand by with hoses ready, but the actors must remain steady in character. Not fear, but control. The flames illuminate faces with raw orange intensity. What audiences do not know is that some reactions captured on film are genuine shock from sudden bursts of heat. The fire behaves unpredictably. Zulu does not manufacture danger. It channels real elemental force. Each blaze becomes a visceral punctuation that sears itself into memory. Fact number 6. An unexpected animal disruption derails a crucial battle scene. Nature refuses to follow scripts. Just as cameras prepare for a sweeping approach, a herd of cattle wanders into frame. The animals move slowly, ignoring shouted directions and clattering equipment. Crew members try to redirect them, but the herd circles back stubbornly. Hours slip away. Actors stand waiting in heavy uniforms under rising heat. The schedule trembles under the delay. But something unusual happens. Observing the animals roaming freely, the director reimagines the scene's opening tone. Instead of rigid military formality, he introduces a quieter moment of stillness before violence. The cattle are removed, but their influence remains. The new version feels atmospheric, almost prophetic. Zulu absorbs the interruption and transforms it into artistry. Chaos, again, becomes catalyst. Fact number 5. The infamous ammunition passing scene is built from real fatigue. The relentless passing of ammunition boxes is one of the film's most iconic images. Yet the realism comes from genuine exhaustion. The actors repeat the motion again and again under brutal heat. Arms tremble, vision blurs, sweat turns grips slippery. But the director keeps pushing, insisting that the weight and repetition must feel punishing. What audiences do not know is that the actors begin developing small blisters and bruises from constant friction. Crew members step in with makeshift padding, but it barely helps. The fatigue becomes part of the performance. Every strained breath, every slowed movement reflects real physical decline. The scene is not choreographed efficiency. It is deteriorating strength captured honestly. Zulu thrives on the authenticity born from discomfort. Fact number 4. A critical line reading changes the entire emotional balance of the movie. Deep in the final act, one officer delivers a line that shifts the tone from fear to defiance. It becomes a defining moment. Yet the version audiences hear is not the version in the script. During filming, the actor adjusts his delivery, softening it, then sharpening it, then grounding it in weary determination. The director recognizes something powerful in this improvised cadence. The scene is rewritten on the spot. Not command, but plea. Not bravado, but resilience. Crew members notice the shift immediately. The atmosphere tightens around the performance. Once edited into the final cut, It reshapes the climax, transforming Zulu from spectacle to human story. A single vocal choice becomes emotional axis, proving how fragile cinematic balance can be. Fact number 3, a massive logistical failure nearly halts the final battle shoot. As production approaches the climactic battle, everything depends on timing. Dozens of extras, dozens of rifles, and multiple camera units must align perfectly. Then disaster hits. A shipment of blank ammunition fails to arrive. Without it, the entire sequence collapses. Panic ripples through the camp. Phones ring endlessly. Runners drive across rough terrain searching for replacement stock. Hours pass. Tension mounts. Just when cancellation seems inevitable, a small reserve is discovered in an unmarked crate misfiled earlier. It is not enough for the original plan. So the director redesigns the sequence, focusing on tighter shots and concentrated bursts of action. The limitation becomes advantage, turning the scene into a more intimate, desperate final stand. Zulu benefits from the necessity born of failure. Fact number 2. The iconic shot of the Zulu advance is filmed using a dangerously low camera position. To capture the overwhelming power of the advancing warriors, the cinematographer places the camera at ground level, barely beyond spear distance. The choice is bold. It also borders on reckless. Dust smothers the lens. Feet thunder past inches away. Stunt performers risk tripping over equipment. The operator must remain absolutely still as bodies sweep across the frame. No safety rails, no second chances. What audiences feel as unstoppable force is genuine threat. The shot places viewers in the soldier's perspective, surrounded by momentum beyond control. It becomes one of the most memorable images in the film. The risk pays off. Zulu earns its intensity from the real tension pulsing through that perilous setup. Fact number 1. The final salute is filmed under grave tension and real emotion. The closing salute between the British soldiers and the Zulu warriors feels solemn, dignified, and deeply human. Yet, behind the scenes, tension runs high. Heat exhaustion delays. Cultural misunderstandings linger. Fatigue weighs heavily on every performer. But as cameras roll, something profound happens. The warriors raise their weapons in controlled unity. The soldiers respond with weary respect. Silence settles across the set. Crew members stop moving. Even the wind seems to pause. What audiences do not know is that many in the cast feel genuine emotion rising during this moment. Not acting, but release. The salute becomes a symbol of mutual endurance. It is the first time the entire production breathes as one. Zulu ends not with triumph, but acknowledgement. Bonus fact back. A lost reel reveals a scene that was too intense to include. Years after Zulu's release, archivists uncover a damaged reel that contains an alternate version of a key battle moment. The footage is rough, grainy, unfinished, but its power is undeniable. The scene shows a prolonged exchange of fire filmed with far harsher realism than anything in the final cut. Actors stumble from recoil. Dust storms choke visibility. A stunt performer is struck by debris, and the reaction is so raw it feels documentary rather than dramatic. The director originally removes the scene, fearing it overwhelms the narrative and shifts tone too far toward brutality. What audiences never see is how dangerously close Zulu comes to becoming an entirely different film. The lost reel becomes whispered legend, a glimpse of a harsher vision almost sealed into history.